Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I watched WWE Elimination Chamber 2020, which was broadcast on March 8th, 2020 from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I did not attend this show. I was on the fence back and forth for the last 2 months. At one time I had a flight and a rental car booked, and I was going to do a whole trip and go to Allentown for the live event the night before and all that kind of stuff. But I ended up not going, and instead I went to see Middleditch and Schwartz here in Denver at the Paramount Theater. That was a lot of fun, although I did like the show in Vancouver a little bit more. I mean, that's not to say I did not like this show on this night, but I thought that one was a little bit better. But trying to explain why or anything like that, there was some stuff that was really, really great. That was my favorite things of either show. But anyway, if you have a chance to see Middleditch and Schwartz, they are touring the country right now. They're in the Netflix the Netflix is a Laugh or whatever that festival is called at the end of towards the end of April. All that stuff. That's in Los Angeles, but they're playing at a bunch of different places around the country before then, including the week before that festival. I think it's the first week of May is when that starts or something. But they're going to be in Texas, so they'll be at the Moonstone Festival, I think it's called, and Moonstone Comedy Festival, and a show in Dallas in at the end of April. I'm currently planning on going to both of those unless they get canceled because of all the stuff that's happening with canceling big events with lots of people, etc. Like I said before in other episodes, just wash your hands, cover your mouth if you cough or sneeze, and, just those general habits that just do that much. And I think we'll be close to okay. We'll be better than not doing those things anyway. So I just went to the grocery store, and I went down the aisle with all the sanitizers and stuff, just to see what the situation is over there. And of course, all the shelves were empty, and I'm thinking, like, man, what people should have had this stuff already in the first place. And also, it's not some magic elixir that's gonna keep you safe. It's the behaviors, I believe, that will keep you safe more so. Like, it doesn't do you any good to have a bunch of hand sanitizer if you don't use it, or it doesn't, if you're not like also washing your hands or doing other things, if you're not covering your mouth when you sneezing into your elbow, all that kind of stuff. If you're not doing that, the hand sanitizer is not going to help at all. And also the virus masks, all that, it's much more effective to help keep people who are already sick from infecting other people, as opposed to keeping you from getting infected, a healthy person from getting infected. So that's another thing to keep in mind in general. But anyhow, for all like 2 people who listen to this ever. But I just thought it's kind of funny to see that's the only, like, there's plenty of bread, plenty of milk, plenty of all the other stuff. It's just that section of the shelves that's empty. So, and I didn't check the soap aisle. I'm pretty sure if I had, there would be tons and tons of antibacterial soap still on there. All like big jugs of soft soap. Just nobody's interested. Nobody's interested in putting the time in to wash their hands with soap. Who has time for that? Gotta use that alcohol-based sanitizer to dry out your hands. But anyway, Middleditch and Schwartz was great. And then I also, over the past couple of days, watched all of Love is Blind. I had added it to my Netflix queue a while back anyway, because it sounded pretty interesting from what people were saying. And then Maggie was saying that they were watching it, and then they ended up finishing it before I did, and that it was great. And it is really good. It kind of is insane. It is insane. It's an insane show. It's about these couples or people who get to know each other without seeing each other, and then they propose. In order to see each other, they have to propose marriage, and then they finally see each other face to face, and then they go forward with it or not. And then they go and move in together, and then they meet all their families and all that, and then they get married on a specific end date. It's 4 weeks from the start of this quote-unquote experiment. It's pretty crazy. So go check it out. I have lots of opinions on some of the people, no opinion at all on some of the other people that I kept. There's one couple that I kept forgetting they were actually on the show. And Maggie's telling me that there's all kinds of backstory, all kinds of dirt to dig up about all of the people on the show and everything. And I'm not going to go into that. Myself, I'm not going to talk about that, but also I'm not like researching that. Like, I don't know any of that stuff, other than the couple of things that she told me. But go check it out. It's on Netflix. If you have Netflix and you want to watch, put something on. Like I put it on because I was working on some art and everything, and so I didn't really have to be looking at the screen to to be able to do it. So it's a good pass the time. Put on the background, that type of show. So there you go. All right, let's talk real quick about the Elimination Chamber. I did watch the first 3 matches before I left for the show. And then the 4th match I watched while I was driving the show, and then finished watching it just sitting in my car in the parking garage. And I'm pretty glad that I did that. I didn't miss anything from Middleditch and Schwartz by doing that, because I got into the theater like 7:15, and the show is supposed to start at 7, but it really didn't start until like 7:20 or something like that. So I could have watched another match or two and been totally fine. But I was okay with watching them later, and I'll get to those matches anyway. So those were the only 4 matches that I watched as they were broadcast, and the SmackDown Tag Team Title match in the Chamber. I didn't have my full focus on it because I was driving for most of it, but I did hear what was going on and saw a couple of replays and stuff when the really big stuff happened. But anyway, on the kickoff show, we had Viking Raiders versus Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. Viking Raiders won, of course. That would have been really weird if they didn't. I thought this match seemed so random, and there was no presence of the SmackDown Women's Division on this entire show, and that was so weird. I don't know why they couldn't have had some type of match in this match's place. What were they? I just don't know. This was a weird pay-per-view overall, just with the sheer absence of so many people. But on the other hand, some good highlights on people who normally wouldn't. So it was a little bit of trade-off in that regard. And it still ended up being 3.5 hour pay-per-view. It didn't seem like it was that long. But then again, each match got pretty good time. Anyway, the opening match of the show itself was Daniel Bryan versus Drew Gulak. It was awesome to see Drew Gulak on the main card. Daniel Bryan won that match, of course. I don't have specific notes really about much of it other than what I'll remember. I don't remember anything specific that I wanted to talk about this match, but except that it was very good. And Drew Gulak is awesome. Of course, I mean, Daniel Bryan is awesome as well. But it was really cool to see Drew Gulak featured like this on a pay-per-view. That was great. Then we had Andrade defend his championship, the U.S. Championship, the United States Championship, versus Humberto Carrillo. Andrade won via a handful of tights, so it's arguable that Carrillo got screwed there, and so the saga continues. Of course, I think I said I had mentioned that I hope that I think I've already mentioned that I hope that we get a fatal 4-way between these two and Rey Mysterio and Angel Garza at WrestleMania. That would be so fantastic. Also, what would be fantastic is if it's a friggin' ladder match. Oh man, but I think it's probably more likely that the Intercontinental Championship will be a ladder match, as is tradition at WrestleMania. It's happened often enough that I think it could be considered tradition. Tradition doesn't have to be every year. It would be an occasional, a semi-occasional, a semi-regular tradition. But anyway, Andrade is still the champion. Then we had the SmackDown Tag Team Title Chamber match. I do not have any notes on this at all. I'll just try to remember some stuff that happened. It started with New Day and the Usos, I think. And then the next to enter were Lucha House Party. Lucha House Party had so much awesome stuff to do in this match. I really enjoyed that. Then Miz and Morrison entered, and then the fifth team to enter was Heavy Machinery. And then so 10 guys in the ring, and my favorite spot of the night absolutely was Lince Dorado climbing up to the top of the cage and doing like a monkey bars swing into a shooting star press from the top of this freaking cage. That was insane. It was so cool. And yeah, I enjoyed that quite a bit. But then they got pinned right after that. Grand Metalik got pinned right away after that. So we have Heavy Machinery and Dolph and Rudes. They're like at each other's throats. And then Otis, he ends up getting bullfighted into smashing out of one of the chamber pods. So he's out of action, and then Tucky gets pinned there. I think they're second eliminated, and then I think Rude and Ziggler were eliminated shortly after that, and then New Day were eliminated. They should have kept teaming up with the Usos. They were working together against Miz and Morrison at first, when it came down to the three of them, but then they started fighting each other, and that took out the New Day, and that gave Miz and Morrison a little bit more of an advantage, or closer to evening the odds. Because in a normal situation, Usos defeat Miz and Morrison hands down, but there was an interesting situation where they went for that double splash, but Miz got his feet up, so he was able to reverse into a pin, while the other Us was getting the pin on Morrison. And they both were getting counted by the ref at the same time. They both kicked out, but what would that even mean if neither of them kicked out? Would that combination, the Uso who got the pin then be a tag champion with the Miz? Maybe that's happened before. I don't know. But that did not happen. I forget exactly what the finish was. It was a whole combination of finishers. I think the skull crushing finale was hit, and then Starship. What's the name of his move? It's Starship something. That combination of moves finished the match, and Miz and Morrison remain the champions. So yeah, this match was the best, most exciting match of the night, most variety of the night. All of that. Actually, all of the matches were very good until we got to the last match. So up next, we had Aleister Black versus AJ Styles. There's no disqualifications, so the OC got involved a lot. But just as it looked like Aleister Black was doomed, thanks to getting hit by a magic killer and all that, AJ was getting ready to go for the phenomenal forearm and finish things off when the gong hits, or the bell hits. It is a bell. It's not a gong. It's a church bell. Ding. And the Undertaker appears. He has the OC by their throats, both of them, but then he just tosses them aside and turns around in time for AJ Styles to jump, springboard off of the ropes, and get caught in a chokeslam himself. And Undertaker disappears. Aleister Black finishes AJ off with the Black Mass, and there we go. Aleister wins this match, and I think it somewhat undoes the unhappiness of what happened last week on Raw with Aleister Black losing, and it did it all made sense, I thought. So that was really cool. This match I did not watch at all. I skipped to the end part of it because I wanted to get to the main event to see. I didn't see any spoilers, but I saw some reactions to it that may have been spoilers because I assumed like something happened because of how upset people were. But I skipped most of Street Profits versus Seth Rollins and Murphy. I enjoyed all the popcorn stuff, especially where they showed stuff at the end. But the Street Profits retain, and Seth and Murphy are made fools by the Kevin Owens popcorn spots. I don't know. I need to go back and watch that whole match. I probably won't ever get around to doing that, but I did enjoy the ending. Then we had the other best match of the night. There's lots of best matches of the night. Everything was the best match of the night, tied for second place, other than the SmackDown Tag Title Chamber. But this is the best handicap match of the night. Okay, we had the best singles match of the night. We had the best no disqualification match of the night. We had the best chamber match of the night. We had the best championship singles match of the night. And then we had the best tag team match of the night, maybe. That's one of the two tag team matches of the night. And then we had the best handicap match of the night. So Braun Strowman defended his Intercontinental Championship against Team Sami Zayn. So Sami, Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura, all three, they had to tag in and out, and then the rules were that whoever got the pin, that they would be the champion. So that answered my question. I was wondering, like, how is if they win, does that mean all three of them are champion? No, it's the one who gets the pin. So because it's the tag team rules for the handicap side. But I thought it was pretty incredible that Sami Zayn did not have to absorb any offense. He was not hit by any moves, and I think that's kind of like that's such an awesome thing, because he was gloating earlier on. He's like, Braun Strowman, you've been obsessed with me, but you haven't been able to lay a single finger on me. This is on the kickoff show. It's like, that's such a great point. He's been very successful at. Okay, yeah, it's noble to be a hero and to take a beating or whatever, not take a beating, but like, to get in a fight, take some hits, but then come out on top or whatever. But how impressive is it to be in this feud for this long and never once getting hurt by your opponent? I think that's pretty impressive. And so he won this championship in exactly the same manner. He did not take any offense. He did not get thrown around at all. He did not get any hands from Braun Strowman. And I thought that was pretty awesome. Sami Zayn is the Intercontinental Champion. And I know it's unfair. It was it was 3-on-1. Cesaro and Shinsuke are holding him still so they can hit the haluva kick, etc., etc., etc. But I'm so really happy that Sami Zayn finally has a championship on Raw or SmackDown. SmackDown it is, but I mean, and on the main roster. I don't know why I was saying the main roster, as it still is. There's still a difference between Raw and SmackDown and NXT. So anyway, yeah, I really, really like that match. That was great, and I'm really excited to see the next few episodes of SmackDown with him just being super obnoxious and gloating about it. It's great. It's gonna be great. Okay, then in stark contrast to all of that, we have. Oh, I forgot to do my turn my phone into So if you're hearing the digital sounds of my phone, I'm really sorry about that. But I haven't heard it through my headphones, so I think it's been okay. Anyway, we have the women's the SmackDown. No, not SmackDown. The Raw women's division and the Chamber to determine who will fight Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. So Natalya and Ruby Riott start in the Chamber. Everybody else in the pods. Sarah Logan is the third entrant into the match, and they're all going at each other. There's some good stuff that goes on with those three, even with those two to begin with. But then Shayna Baszler enters. She immediately taps out Sarah Logan. She then taps out Ruby Riott. Then she smashes Natalya with the pod door. Like, I did actually, I like that part. That part was really, really cool. But she taps out Natalya, and then there's a long, long time before Liv enters. Like, it felt like 10 minutes of just Shayna in the ring, Liv and Asuka still in the pods. It took way, way too long. It was pretty. So the parts with action I did like, but the having to wait so long it just killed all the momentum. But anyway, Liv Morgan enters and she gets some offense into Shayna because she's mad. She really wants to go to WrestleMania. But she's killed by Shayna. She gets, Hulk smashed into the wall and everything. And Liv goes to sleep as she's dangled in that submission hold off from the top rope right in front of Asuka. And then we have to wait another like 10 minutes of nothing at all. Well, Asuka's like taunting and stuff, so that was kind of fun. But nothing at all from Shayna, just standing there, like putting her arms out and all that for like another 10 minutes before Asuka's pod opens. Like, time in a scripted event is malleable. Like, just get him in there. Another thing that would have helped a lot is if that you just switch Liv and Shayna, switch their spots, have Shayna enter second to last, and then she's only waiting around one time for Asuka to come out, and then it's more dramatic. I think it's even more dramatic because that, I don't know. Maybe they wanted it to seem like Liv maybe has a chance or something like that. You can still do that without having her still waiting in the pod to do it. She could have been like just forgotten about while the others were taken out of action, were eliminated. But anyway, Asuka finally enters the ring. It's an actual match at this point, but because Asuka's wrist has been injured, she's not at 100%, and so Shayna focuses on that, but I felt like she didn't focus on that quite enough, and that would have been a perfect use of her signature arm stomp that she used on like everybody in NXT, but she does a thing with the top rope instead and ends up getting all kinds of reversals between the Asuka lock and the Kirifuda clutch, etc., etc., and Asuka is put to sleep. She does not tap out. I think that's an important distinction, that Asuka does not tap out. Also, Liv Morgan did not tap out. Or maybe she did. No, I'm pretty sure that she's knocked out. But I think that is an important distinction, that Asuka did not give up. And also the injury factor could have played a lot more into that as far as what moves we actually saw. Commentary explained it a lot when those attacks were happening, but I think having that stomp in there as well would have gone a long way, and I think people who've been following Shayna for the last few years, that would have been a bit of an exciting thing. Like, oh, she still does that. That's great. Or she still does that. That's awful. Or whatever. Whatever your opinion of her is. But anyway, Shayna Baszler will fight Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. So there you go. All right. Raw is starting in 2 minutes. So that's it for this episode. That's all I want to talk about. I guess we'll see what happens coming out of this on Raw. It seems like potentially some damage control. There's some mentioning that maybe, she could have cut some promos while she was waiting or whatever. But I think that probably would have risked like people actually liking her. And that's like the antithesis of what they seem to be going for. Like, I think the intention is for everybody just to hate Shayna so much. And I don't think it's the right, they've done it in the correct way, but it is working it is working, but maybe not in the best way for it to be working. For us to want Shayna to be destroyed. But anyway, now I only have 1 minute. Okay. Let me know what you thought about Elimination Chamber and Love is Blind. And if you've seen Middleditch and Schwartz, and go see Middleditch and Schwartz at any, I keep saying it different ways every time. Go see it at a venue near you. But let me know what you thought about all that stuff by tweeting me at TIW Podcasts. Go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode or anything else on the site, please share some links with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you like to listen. Stay safe out there in all the infinite multiverses. Wash your hands, cover your mouths, and I'll see you next time here on TIW Podcast. Bye.